Can you imagine experiencing your life as easy and peaceful most of the time, even when things around you seem to be in chaos? It truly is a possibility. That is the gift of living with soul and ego in harmony, living in self-awareness without judgment. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is energy medicine. Now, here is the host of Soul Healing with Traci Trimble, Doctor of Energy Medicine, Traci Trimble.
Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Traci Trimble, and I'm a Doctor of Energy Medicine. I thank you so much for joining me today as part of my global community. As a bioenergetic therapist, a spiritual guide, and an energy worker, I specialize in treating both the cause and the effects of depression, anxiety, acute stress, and chronic pain from the perspectives of the layers of energy that surround the human bioenergetic field, the physical, emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. My true passion is teaching, which is exactly what this hour each week with you gifts to me. I love teaching energy medicine, such as Reiki, chakra balancing, and Hatha yoga. But most importantly, I like to share self-awareness without judgment. My gift is not only to see into the layers of your bioenergetic field, but also to connect with your mission, of course, directly to the voice of your soul energy. Whether it's quietly whispering or screaming out for help, I hear you. And as a trained therapist, I have the joy of speaking with your ego energy. And from there, it's my job to guide and teach you how to bring your soul and ego back into harmony. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about this week. Our topic is evolving strategically. If this is the first time that you're joining us, welcome. Highly recommend that you start back at the beginning in the podcast series. There should be 39 podcasts by this point. And the reason that I'm suggesting if this is the first time with us is because each episode plays off onto the next episode, building self-awareness without judgment slowly. And now being approximately 39 episodes in, we are at evolving strategically. I'm always talking about self-awareness without judgment. But now it's time to take it up a notch. It's time to stop just talking about creating a life plan, but to start focusing on the creation of a life that we love, that comes to us with ease, that the experiences that we are in are mostly from a place of joy, and those that aren't, instantaneously learning from them. They are gifts. They aren't harm and suffering. They're simply chaos that gives us a moment to step back and learn more about ourselves, about who we want to be. So today, we're going to talk about creating that life plan around strategic self-awareness that's focused on being exactly who that you want to be most of the time. The challenge for most of us is we don't even know who we want to be. It's very likely that we know that whatever we're doing, thinking, saying, or being isn't working out for us, or even better, it is, but we don't know exactly who we want to be. The only difference between me and you is that I've been doing this strategic evolving on purpose with great intention for 10 years. It does not mean that my life is always sunshine and roses, but it does mean that everything that is presented to me becomes a gift, and I want the same for you. I want to teach how important such a plan is, that evolving strategically is completely different than being blown in the wind, as my producer Christine made great comment on today. We have to stop just being blown around by whatever is happening outside around us. We aren't a piece of paper on the sidewalk. We are a strong oak tree with deep roots, whose purposefulness is to be a contributing part of the forest around us. And we have that capacity. But we only have that capacity if we choose to believe that in every moment we have a learning opportunity. And in every learning opportunity, we have choice. And those choices are, 1, I create and manifest my destiny, or I allow to continue to just be blown around by whatever is happening around me. So let's start with, what does evolving strategically mean? Well, first of all, it's about awareness. Here's a cool, fun fact that too many of us don't believe. In every single breath, every single moment that we are experiencing, we are changing. And we don't even have to be consciously aware of change. You are not who you were 5 minutes ago when you logged in to listen to me speak. And the reason for that is because in every moment, we are making 600 to 800 choices that we're consciously unaware of. We are deciding if we agree, if we disagree, if we're comfortable, if we're uncomfortable, if we're happy, if we're happy. We have a myriad of things happening in this incredible thing called our brain we're not even aware of. But most importantly, everything that's happening has cause effect on us. We don't even have to be aware of it for that to be true. We are not who we were several breaths ago in every second. And if we can come to realize that, we aren't going to want to be stagnant. We aren't going to want to stand still. Being in the present moment means having the awareness that that present moment is always going to be changing us. Do we choose to change with awareness and for the better? Or do we continue change from a place of unconscious incompetence where we don't know what we don't know, so therefore we've been given no value for that? There's no value in an awareness that we miss. Our purposefulness as humans is to experience this space and time. And unfortunately, the number of ways in which we can experience this space and time is limited. And the reason that I say unfortunately is because when we are consciously incompetent, we are attempting to experience the world in all of those ways, good, bad, and ugly, in every moment. And that is overwhelming. That is too much for our intellectual and our emotional capacity to handle. But if we choose to be aware, choose from which space, which perception we're going to take this next moment from, then we are literally manifesting our destiny. We are choosing how we're going to experience. If you've been listening for a while, you know that the way in which I choose to experience this space and time called human being is through balance, purposefulness, and passion. It sure changes things when I only need to look at each breath from a singular perspective. I only have to be responsible for perceiving from those 3 ways. I know what those 3 ways are because for the last years I've done everything possible to bring to my awareness the answer to who do I want to be. The first few years of my life were who I had to be to survive. I knew I wasn't happy or okay, but I pretended that I was. Who you had to be to survive served a purpose. So let's be grateful for that. I believe it's a gift. Who I had to be to survive created non-beneficial energy in my experience, and that energy was disillusionment, vengeance or anger, and blame. Those energies are now gifts for me because I'm in survival mode. I'm in that experience. But I am thriving and manifest who I want to be when I'm in my love energies. So the question to you is, who do you want to be? Now, the easiest way to start this strategic plan is to become aware without judgment and with gratitude who you've had to be to survive. I'm asking to literally take inventory. So with the intention that you're not creating more of this energy, you're actually doing your work honestly. Put down all of the thoughts, the feelings, emotions, the people, places, things that don't bring you an easy, peaceful happiness. So, for example, anger was a big part for me. I was so afraid to let go of anger because it served a purpose. It got me out of so many situations. It made me feel safe, protected. But it also made me completely unaware of the chaos and the damage that I caused around me. It allowed me to create stories in my own mind where nothing was my fault. And in that allowed me to blame others. And that too was a very comfortable spot. If it was everyone else's fault, then it was their responsibility to fix it. The most important part of this strategic plan is to remember that absolutely nothing, zero, zilch, nothing that has now or ever will happen in your life is anything but your own responsibility. You either happen intentionally or you drew it to you unconsciously and allowed it to become harm and suffering. Everything that happens to you, for you, and because of you is a reason behind it. And that reason is for you to learn, to heal, to grow. And as soon as we can bring into our realization that, A, we really do have that much power. That's a big one. But over and above that, if that's true, that I created it and I made it, and guess what? I can stop it. I can stop being who I've had to be to survive. And I can start being who I want to be to thrive. Now, as you take this inventory, that's exactly what you're doing. You're documenting what you want to stop in your life. And from there, you have the capacity to realize what it is that you strategically have to be aware of. And even at the beginning, if it's being aware of not being angry anymore, or even better, being aware of how often you are angry, we can then graduate into other awarenesses until eventually you're actually aware that you will not choose anger. So most of the time, you're peaceful. Imagine if that was our truth. It's time for the first break of our show. When we return, we're going to talk about motivation versus standing. Specifically, we're going to talk about the three most important areas of our lives in which evolving strategically is essential. Those are our physical well-being, our intimate love relationship, our finances. You're listening to Soul Healing with Traci Trimble, PhD. We'll be right back.
Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Traci, and I'm here to teach you metaphysical lessons in self-awareness without judgment. If you haven't already found me on Facebook, please try my personal page, Traci, or my business page, True Path Consulting with Traci Trimble, PhD. Now let's get back to our show topic. We are talking today about evolving strategically. What does that mean? To me, evolving means being, doing, and having better every day. Learning, sharing, healing, and growing every day. Doing that strategically means we're doing it on purpose, with awareness, with intention. Evolve strategically, life becomes easier, more peaceful. It's to be that way. The pain and suffering is caused by the chaos that is caused by our lack of awareness. In particular, I want to talk about evolving strategically in three very specific areas of our life. I teach a very powerful program called Self-Mastery. And in this program, we actually reprogram the neuro pathways of the brain out of lack of awareness into awareness. Focus on the 12 most important areas of our lives as human beings, most common 12 most important areas of our lives. I'm not going to talk about that today because I do and have spoken of it a lot. But if you'd like more information specifically on these 12 most important areas, please go to the podcast 29th, 2018 called Self-Mastery. We are going to be talking about the three most important areas in the 12. In addition to what we talk about today, if you want to know what those areas are and why they're important, please go to the September 5th podcast called The Three Most Important Areas of Our Lives. Again, they are our physical well-being, intimate love relationship, and our finances. The reason out of all 12 of the areas, which are physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, character, intimate love relationship, parent-child relationship, social, career, finances, quality of life, and vision, these three are the most important because as human beings, without these three energies in alignment most of the time, chaos controls us. And when we're in chaos, we're in lack of awareness. And when we're in lack of awareness, we create harm and suffering for ourselves and others. Physical well-being means that this vessel, the human body, that is meant to carry you through these experiences, but also to carry the experiences you collect, must be capable of its job. Think of well-being mostly as health, ability. Physical well-being is a challenging space for most human beings. Actually learned how to cut off of our intellectual and emotional capacity from the body. A lot of us don't even feel our body. We have no respect or value for our health. Physical well-being ensures that we have one of three pieces of our solid foundation beneath us. So let's take physical well-being, for example, in evolving strategic. In every moment, even if we aren't aware, we are changing, which means we're capable of changing, which means if there is a thing about your physical well-being that you don't like, you can change. And it doesn't matter how far gone that don't like become. For example, disease and dysfunction. I truly believe and have witnessed the turnaround of disease and dysfunction simply through self-awareness, through practicing evolving strategically. I have a family member who was diabetic and obese, over 300 pounds. In giving herself permission that her body mattered to her, that she mattered to her, that her life mattered, she lost hundreds of pounds. Now, I won't say through sheer willpower, but I know it was more than that. She's no longer diabetic. How cool is that? If we have the capacity to realize that our physical well-being is a choice, not to set ideas aside that it's about motivation. Well, I don't have the power, I don't have the motivation. No, that's not true. You don't have the understanding. You don't understand due to a lack of awareness that you choice in absolutely everything that happens to you. Our physical well-being is probably one of the most challenging ways because we have to live in this body, and because change doesn't happen as rapidly as we want to, and we're always searching for evidence, our body seems to fail us. But that's not true either. Excuse me. We have failed our body. We haven't gotten to know ourselves well enough that we will choose to be better or do better. People that say to me all the time, I can't lose this weight. I hate working out. Well, what? If you hate working out, you're never going to lose the weight, because every time you work out and you're in the energy of hate, you're telling your body that you're feeding it hate. Start small. Small with things like hydration. The large majority of us eat because we're hungry, when in fact we're dehydrated. We need water. We just don't understand the language that our body's speaking. We feel that pain, we think it's hunger, we eat. It happens with emotions too. We feel emotionally pain and we eat. We feel mentally stressed and we eat. We do that. We don't know. We are unaware of what our body is trying to tell us. And so we do something that creates more harm and suffering, again, without knowing. Physical well-being is probably the most challenging area of our life to turn around, but is also the most rewarding. Because if we are physically well, everything else is easy. Everything else comes easier because we aren't in pain and suffering and disconnection and fear. Stop trying to motivate ourselves to be, to do, or to have things, and let's start deciding to understand ourselves better, to realize the expectations that we've created, rules that we've signed up for that we're not even aware of. Even better, let's take responsibility to make better choices. Let's gift ourselves permission to experience our body from a place of love, from a place of well-being, from a place of purposefulness. What is the purpose of our body anyway? It is literally the home in which we live. It is our castle. And we haven't gifted the love and the respect, the understanding and the kindness that that castle or vessel deserves. Again, physical well-being is the most challenging, but it's a great place to start. Because as soon as you start feeling physically well, as soon as you start understanding your body and what it's trying to tell you, the rest of it is much easier. If your physical body is out of alignment, it is most likely that your intimate love relationship or your finances also experience challenge, because these three energies are interconnected. They all require you to be vibrating at the highest vibration, to be acting and reacting from your highest good in order for them to be the solid foundation. The ground shifts underneath you, throwing you off because it's not solid. And the only person on this planet that can be responsible for creating a solid foundation is you. And that solid foundation can and will only come from knowing who you are physically, knowing who you are in an intimate love relationship, and knowing who you are in financial capacity. It's time for our second break of the show. When we return, we're going to talk about intimate love relationship as a foundation. We're also going to talk about finances. We'll be right back.
Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Traci Trimble. Today we're talking about evolving strategically, and I am suggesting that what that looks like right now is an inventory of your physical well-being, your intimate love relationship, and your finances. I'm asking you to inventory who you've had to be in the past to survive. And then I'm asking you to decide, to make a choice of who do you want to be moving forward. And I get that there will be a gap in between where you are at and where you want to go. And that's the whole purpose of having a strategy, is to get from one place to another. Our expectations of ourselves are a big part of this strategic plan. So as you're doing this inventory of who you've had to be, I want you to get really clear on the rules that you've created, the expectations, the habits, the beliefs that aren't serving you. And take responsibility for that. That responsibility includes 3 key pieces. First, you're taking responsibility for the fact that you have created, whether you realize it or not, your life exactly the way it is. If it's awesome, then the second step is to be grateful. But if it's not awesome, then the second step is to forgive yourself. Realize that you didn't know what you know now, and now that you know this, you can do better. And third, choose to do better. Begin to learn about who you really are, who you want to be. The 3 main areas that I'm asking you to do this in are physical well-being, intimate love relationship, and finances. Before we went to break, we talked physical well-being. Let's talk about intimate love relationship. For starters, if you are in an intimate love relationship is going well most of the time, please be grateful. If you're in an intimate love relationship that isn't going well, please take ownership of that. There's a silly rumor going around that in a love relationship it's a 50-50. That's bullshit. 100%. You are 100% responsible for you in that relationship, and you are 100% responsible being who you said you were going to be. for that person. And here's a crazy thing that happens is some people don't even sit and talk about what their expectations are of each other. So if you've never actually talked about what you expect from each other, how is your partner supposed to know what you need? And worse, if you don't know what you need, how is that person supposed to support you? And catch this word, support you. Your partner is not responsible for creating or maintaining your happiness. You are responsible for creating and maintaining your happiness, and your relationship is responsible for supporting the two people, maybe not, but in most cases, the two people that are in that relationship. An intimate love relationship is different and more dynamic than any relationship because the energy exchange is actually on 5 levels, whereas in any other relationship on this planet, it's a maximum of 4. Those exchanges are physical, which also I would like you to think of as environmental. They are emotional, mental, and spiritual, but they are also sexual. And sexual does not necessarily mean the actual act of having sex. It means there is an intricate connection in which sexual energy has been shared. It's actually a tether between two human beings. It's an energetic lifeline. When you have intimate relationships with another human being, whether you intend it or not, you create a sexual tether. Now, if you are not in an intimate relationship, it is very likely that you are drawn. And the reason that you are likely drawn to that is because you are a human being. Human beings actually require physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and sexual intimacy. We require connection to other humans. It's our nature. We mate. The intimate love relationship is such a powerful vibration that it has the capacity to control and compel us if we enter it through lack of awareness. We have capacity to become what that other person needs. Our responsibility is to be who we need to be and support that other person. So whether you're in a relationship and it's great, you're in a relationship and it's not great, or you're not in a relationship, this foundational piece is still important. It is the way in which you intimately connect to another human being. It is a way in which you learn how to understand yourself outside of just your own self. That influential other will trigger you, will control you, will thrive in your energy, and you will thrive in theirs. They are your lesson. We need to give ourselves a mirror, to give ourselves the opportunity to procreate and make more of our own selves. The intimate love relationship is so important that if you aren't being who you want to be in this most important energetic relationship you will ever be in, then guess what? You're living in the energy of a lie, of an energy that is not your truth. You are settling for something that is not supporting you. Now, this by no means is suggesting if your relationship isn't good, get out. No. You need to be better and do better. You are the one that is responsible for knowing not only who you want to be, but for sharing with that intimate partner who it is that you want to be, so that they can decide if they're willing to support that. If they aren't willing to support that, then yes, you do need to move on without judgment and criticism. because you two aren't meant to be together. You're not right for each other. We fall in love with people for circumstances from lack of awareness. If you can't shift that relationship back into awareness, then that relationship isn't for you, and that's okay. There are actually only two things, this entire planet, in our entire existence, that we cannot change our mind from when we become more aware. The first is suicide. You can't take your own life and change your mind. The other is giving birth to a human being. You can't give birth to a human being and say, oh, you know what, I changed my mind, I'm back in. They now exist. Those two things are the only things in this planet that you can't change your mind on. Instead of giving up on yourself or on a relationship or deciding that you don't even want a relationship anymore because the world sucks so bad, let's step back and realize that it's on you. It's on you to decide what you want and who you want to be. The intimate relationship is the most powerful, energetic, foundational piece because it's where our safety, security, and support come from. And every single one of us deserves a space in our lives that we create with another in which we feel safe, secure, and supported. I'm going to go to break just a little bit early today so that I have the time that I need to fully embrace finances. So if you don't mind bearing with me, we're going to take our third break now. When we return, we're going to talk about who we want to be and who we've had to be in our finances. Thank you for listening to Soul Healing with Traci Trimble, PhD. I am incredibly grateful to be in service to you. If anything you've heard here today resonates, please feel free to share it with your friends and family. If you have questions, please email me, traci@tracitrimble.ca. We'll be right back.
Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Your host, Traci Trimble, Doctor of Energy Medicine. I want to continue a conversation around evolving strategically by specifically getting into the third of our three most important areas that we have a plan in. It's so important to become aware around our finances because it is probably the heaviest, most elusive energy in our existence. As human beings, money, our financial status or our financial security literally does change how we experience this space and time called human being. Our finances put limitations and restrictions on us if we believe in lack, and they lift any limitations and restrictions should we live in abundance. The challenge is that money in particular is also an energy, and it is attracted or repelled from us based on what we believe. And if in this area called finances, we spend most of our time in survival instead of thrive, and we're very often unaware of the expectations that we've created. We give responsibility to those side of us. We take our own responsibility away. Very often we can blame absolutely everything around us for our lack of financial security. Our jobs, we don't make enough money. We can't seem to save and get by. Whatever those stories are, they are created from a space of lack of safety, security, and support. Again, we get the most amount of safety, security, and support from our physical well-being. And on top of that, from our intimate love relationship. And then the icing on the cake is our finances. If we do not have a clear understanding of what our beliefs are in finances, this very strong vibrational of energy will either be attracted to us, yes, and it doesn't matter what we do. You have an incredibly high-paying job, appear to be incredibly successful, and not have a penny to spend, still live beyond your means. You can have a minimum wage job, love what you do, and have an abundance because you know how to make things happen. It actually isn't about the money. It's about the energy of money. Our finances make us do stupid things for stupid reasons. We take jobs that we hate. We do things that we don't need. We don't educate ourselves on how to save money, how to create more of it. We literally classify our self-worth based on what we have accumulated. When finances are coming from the energy of lack, it has a great effect on our intimate love relationship and our physical well-being. We lose the motivation to do anything. We classify our worthiness as lower. I want you to realize that this energy is who we've had to be to survive in the past, and we must stop. Anything financial, whether you're in an amazing place financially or you're in a not so amazing place financially, comes from the space experiencing instead of attaining. We have to know ourselves. We have to know our beliefs are about around money. Because when we don't, we make decisions based on fear that cost us. And when we spend money we don't have, it's not costing us just our finances. It's costing us our peace of mind. So let's go through what we're going to do as our homework today. First, we're going to decide that it's time to evolve strategically. I'm going to ask you to inventory who you want to be, but also who you've had to be to survive. And notice the gap in the middle. That's where we're going to start evolving to. Take these three most powerful areas of your life, because as these start to come into play, as these start to become more powerful and empowering, everything else just falls in. You really don't have a lot of effort. And take one of these things, take one thing of who you want to be, and be that person next week. Be that person all through next week, and then come back and join me in our session live Friday, January 18th, or podcast it at your convenience. But we're going to take that one that you come up with this week, and I'm going to teach you how to use it as a tool to change your life. So, for example, in the past, I didn't want to be angry anymore. So what did I have to change? I had to find balance in my life. So I started looking for balance. And then I started finding it because I was looking for it. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about paying attention. If we're going to evolve out of everything's happening to us and into creating a life we desire, then we have to start paying attention to the synchronicities and the illuminations that take us closer to who we want to be. Next week, I'm going to share some ideas that the universe is guiding us in subtle and mysterious ways. Because I believe that it is. So if you do this homework, when we come back to the table next week, you're going to learn how to use that to change your life. It seems like that's all the time we have today, and as always, I am so incredibly grateful to have spent that time with you. I trust you got exactly what you needed from me today, but if you didn't, please reach out by email. Until next time, gift yourself permission to find awareness without judgment. I'm Traci Trimble, Doctor of Energy Medicine, signing off with so much gratitude.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Soul Healing with Traci Trimble, PhD.